Hey everyone, today we're going to be looking at how to install steel mesh onto a Klip-Lok style roof. Now we're going to be using these saddles to install it, and we're also going to be installing the mesh a little bit further back on the roof sheet, not right near the edge. And there's another video where we show you how to put it right on the edge if that's the sort of installation you need. So the tools you're going to need, you're going to need a drill, you're going to need a 1/4 inch nut setter and some tin snips. Let's jump onto the roof rig and we'll have a look how to install it. First thing we're going to do is roll the mesh out so we've got a nice flat section of mesh. Then we're going to start on the gutter side. We're going to put our trim on, put in the first screw, and then put in the last screw. And then we're going to come through and put the central screws into each of those trims. They're typically 1 metre long. And then just continue along that run of roof, just butting the trims up next to each other, as we're doing here. Next, we're going to put a kick in the mesh. This is just going to help it sit really nicely, and it's also going to help the water to flow through really effectively when it's raining, especially if you've got a small aperture mesh, like the 2mm aperture. Really helps the water to change directions and really push through into the gutter. The next thing we do is put this notch in on the top side of the mesh. That notch is going to be about 150mm to 200mm deep, and about 25mm wide at the small end of the V. That is the bit that's going to sit on top of the roof rib. And then about 55mm, which is going to straddle sort of the bottom side of the roof rib, because you can see those roof ribs are tapered. Now I should note with the length of the notch, like I said, 150 to 200mm, we've gone a little bit shorter here on this install, but the longer you make that, the more gentle the slope on the mesh is going to be, and I'll show you what I mean there in a moment. We're going to put a kick in the mesh here. That's just going to really help seat it all into position. We're just going to sort of repress that down. Then you can see we're tacking a screw in the top side on the roof rib to hold that top section of mesh down. Do a small run of those, do a few meters worth. And then come through and put your saddles on. Note the direction that we've got them in here, and note how the saddle sits right towards the end of the mesh there. It's really going to help press that mesh into the pans of the roof rib and ensure that leaves are going to skate over the top of the mesh and not get wedged in between. It's going to form a really great barrier. Then just follow that process along this section of roof. We're just going to square it up a little bit at the end, just make sure it's sitting really nice. And that's the finished product. So it's a really neat install. And you can see what I mean, what I mentioned before, by the notch depth. The deeper you cut that notch, the more gentle the slope is going to be on the mesh. But this one looks perfectly fine. It's a great install. That's all there is to it. That's how to install Klip-Lok saddles onto steel mesh on a Klip-Lok roof, or any other roof with that locking sort of profile.